there, it's Anne of Helioterra again, and I'm here today to talk to you about my Melon de Bourgogne. Specifically, though, we are going to discuss the Melon de Bourgogne fermented in concrete. This is from the Stavig Vineyard, which is in Happy Valley, Oregon. Happy Valley is actually a small suburb located just outside of southeast Portland in Clackamas County. Melon de Bourgogne, if we were in the south of France, it would actually be called Muscadet. So if you're familiar with the wine Muscadet, then you might know a little bit about Melon de Bourgogne. Melon in Oregon, though, is fairly rare and uncommon. There's only, to my knowledge, 6 vineyards that grow this grape, and I am lucky enough to be able to get some. So this particular wine, this grape is a late harvest grape here in the valley. Despite these vines being pretty old, they're over 20 years old at this point. They do not ripen early, and so we pick this normally towards the end of October, often around Halloween. That means we get a lot of hang time. This particular wine, though, does not have a huge amount of fruit flavors, and depending on the way the growing season goes, sometimes can have some tropical notes, but most of the time it's more savory, herbal, and minerally. A lot of bright citrus notes as well. So when I am making this wine, I make this in 2 different versions. One is the straightforward Melon de Bourgogne that I do in both a mix of stainless steel and neutral oak barrel with a various selection of yeast and with lees stirring on those barrels. This particular one, as the bottle would indicate, that says concrete, is fermented in a concrete egg tank. So in 2017, I invested in a concrete egg tank to emulate the more calcareous soils of the southern France growing region, where we can have more minerally and more oceanic type of influences with the Muscadet. So when I'm making this wine in the concrete egg, we get a couple different factors. First, this particular wine ages for longer in the concrete. It's a full year instead of a half a year. So you get a lot more impact from the concrete. So it does produce a bit more of a minerality to the wine. Second, because of the nature of the shape of the tank, this particular tank, through the laws of thermodynamics, actually has a convection that occurs within the wine itself, within the tank itself, 365 days of the year. So this wine literally is stirring itself. So what that does is create a wine where the lees, the dead yeast, the sediment that falls to the bottom, gets gently stirred throughout the wine, creating a much more textural, creamy wine. So 2018 Melon de Bourgogne in concrete. There's a ton of minerality. This smells like whetstones. It doesn't per se smell like concrete, but it has that. If you think about like a rock quarry, crushed stone, that's kind of one of those key points. It does actually smell a little bit like fresh rain. This Melon also has a lot of like a lemon curd, like a nice zippy citrus note. On the palate, definitely that minerality and the citrus comes through. I'm remiss if I don't say that this is often heralded as the wine to pair with oysters. Fabulous seafood wine. Obviously, we live here in Oregon, right by the coast. We have a ton of great seafood here. The adage, what grows together goes together, fits perfectly with Melon de Bourgogne. I highly encourage you to try it if you haven't. Thanks.